This is the Giants Postcast, your instant game reaction for the San Francisco Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, or maybe from some of these other Locked On Sports postcasts we do. We also do the Locked On Warriors and Locked On 49ers postcast as well. But today, the Giants had just about the worst start to their second half as possible, swept in their three-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays after falling today 8-6 at Rogers Center. And Robbie Ray, he has been a hallmark of consistency for the Giants this season, but had his worst start of the entire 2025 year. Surrendered 5 runs over 4 1/3 innings of work. The Giants offense was, for the most part, pretty good today, but again, you have a lot of hits and not nearly as many runs as you should have for the 12 hits that they totaled today. And the lack of quality pitching doomed them from the start. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Giants YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed, and make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. My guy, Ben Kaspick, always does a great job. And this one is, just so frustrating to see the Giants start the second half the way that they did this season. I mean, they were really, I thought, rolling for the most part coming out of or going into the All-Star break. Yeah, they lost that series to the Dodgers, but leading up to it, like that last week before the All-Star break, I thought that this team gave you something. You know, it gave fans, at least it gave me, a little bit of hope going forward that this team was maybe going to start to turn a corner coming out of the break. They went toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. Those were very close games for the most part, and you had the Giants playing the Phillies really tough. You had the Giants playing all these high-quality teams, bouncing back after that sputtering stretch against the Marlins and the White Sox. And it gave me a little bit of confidence in this team that going forward, maybe if Logan Webb keeps doing Logan Webb things, if Robbie Ray continues to be the all-star version of himself that he was in the first half of the season, and if the Giants offense starts to come around and hit even a little bit with everybody healthy again, we talked a lot about how this lineup looked a lot better when you have a healthy Casey Schmidt, a healthy Matt Chapman, a healthy Elliot Ramos and Jung-Hoo Lee and Rafi Devers all kind of starting to mesh at the same time. Willie Adames, all these guys starting to turn around. This lineup started to look pretty formidable. But there was a big caveat that we talked about during that stretch, which was the Giants are only going to be able to contend in the second half if the pitching remains dominant. And today, not very dominant pitching. I mean, let's get into it. Robbie Ray, this is his worst start of the entire season. The last time that Robbie Ray gave up more than 3 earned runs in a start was April 16th against the Phillies. He only pitched 4 innings that game, gave up 4 runs. Again, April 16th. It's July 20th. That's 3 months ago that Robbie Ray had a game like this. But today, there's no two ways about it. Robbie Ray gave up 5 hits, 5 earned runs, and 5 walks in his 4 1/3 innings pitched. That's not very good. I mean, there's no way to kind of look at anything from what Robbie Ray gave you today and say, at least he was doing this well, or at least he was doing that well. Like, I saw absolutely nothing from Robbie Ray that looked like he had anything going for him today. I mean, just a ton of hard hit balls everywhere. That fastball was just getting absolutely crushed. And when that fastball's working for him, he's pretty dominant. We know this about Robbie Ray. Threw that changeup a lot today. I mean, and that pitch got out also absolutely crushed. Average exit velo on both of those pitches at 96 miles an hour. Average exit velo, 96 miles an hour for both of those pitches. So, and the slider and the knuckle curve weren't much better. I mean, the knuckle curve was probably his most effective pitch today. Only threw it 14 times, but still, I mean, not very good all the way across the board for Robbie Ray. Only a 24% whiff rate across all his pitches. Just a not very good day for him. So ultimately, I think Robbie Ray will bounce back and recover, but the Giants don't have too many opportunities where they can let this kind of stuff happen. Like, they don't have a lot of wiggle room. The pitching has to be dominant in order for this team to win games. That's just how it is. And one thing that we should note also is that the Blue Jays, are a very good team. They're rolling, especially at home. This is the 10th consecutive home win for the Toronto Blue Jays at Rogers Center. That's a record for the Blue Jays at Rogers Center, not their all-time consecutive home win streak record. They set that back in the 80s. But, I mean, this is the most wins that they've had at home, most consecutive wins that they've had at home since the 1980s, in about 40 years. So the Blue Jays are a pretty damn good team, and they are rolling right now. And today, I mean, you see why. Their lineup, very, very, very effective, especially getting hits when they need them, something that the Giants have been really bad at doing. The Blue Jays only had 6 opportunities for hits with runners in scoring position. They only had 6 at-bats with runners in scoring position. Meanwhile, the Giants had 10 of them, yet they had almost the same amount of runs driven in these situations. Now, the Blue Jays went 3 for 6. That is absolutely incredible, like 500 batting average in those situations. But the Giants, they weren't bad, 4 for 10 in such situations, and I thought that they were really okay for the most part. But, I mean, 6 runs, you can't really complain about that. Most days, if the Giants score 6 runs, you're going to end up getting a win. But for the Giants today, you needed more than that. The Blue Jays were just absolutely crushing Robbie Ray. Spencer Bivens came in. He did not fare much better. Bivens in his 1 1/3 innings of work gave up 3 hits, 3 runs, I mean, he just did not look very good. A couple home runs as well. His ERA balloons up to 4.18. So Bivens, a little bit of a couple rough outings in a row at this point. And this bullpen, other than Tyler Rogers, and I guess Joey Lucchesi looked pretty good today as well. He had 3 strikeouts in his 2 innings of work. He actually looked very, very good. That curveball snapping out there. He's been a nice find for this bullpen as of late. But ultimately, the Giants, you can't give up 8 runs and expect to win a game. It's going to be very hard for the Giants to win any game where their starting pitcher gives up 5 runs. Like, this offense is not built to outslug people. They're not going to outcompete people in a home run derby. They're not going to be able to do that. That's not how this team is built. That's not what the strength of this team is. The strength of this team is pitching and defense. And if those 2 things aren't working for the Giants, they're going to continue to lose games. And I know we didn't do a show yesterday when Logan Webb had his subpar start, but that was a just more of the same of that today. Like Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, the 2 guys that you trust the most on this team, and not just pitcher-wise. I mean, the 2 players on this team that you trust the most, period, just letting you down. And I mean, I hesitate to say letting the Giants down because these guys have carried so much water for the Giants lately and in this season. I mean, they have absolutely put the team on their shoulders and trudged through the hardest parts of this season, just a slog for at various points. And Robbie Ray and Logan Webb being professionals, going out there, dominating, doing their thing, being their all-star selves. It can't all be on those 2 guys to get you to the postseason. Like, you have to have more than Logan Webb and Robbie Ray to get to the postseason. And we talked about it on after Friday's game, Friday's loss to the Blue Jays. The Giants have the 22nd toughest strength of schedule in the second half in all of Major League Baseball. It's not, it's not like they have like a top 5 difficulty strength of schedule going forward. If the Giants miss the playoffs, this is on the Giants. This is, and I see people in the comments. I see Joe Boyd saying that no adjustments are being made, and the Giants should fire all of their coaches. I'm not going to sit here and grandstand for Pat Burrell and Bob Melvin, because I also have some complaints about what they've been doing. But I don't think that. I mean, they aren't going out there and swinging and missing. They aren't going out there and giving up 5 runs in 4 1/3 innings. Like, at the end of the day, the players got to play. The Giants, when you look at their roster, this is on paper a pretty damn good roster. Jung-Hoo Lee, Elliot Ramos, Rafi Devers, Willie Adames, Matt Chapman, all of these guys can play at very high levels. You look at the pitching staff, you got studs all up and down this pitching staff. Camilo Doval has been an all-star closer in his career. Ryan Walker was dominant for various points in time. It's all of these different guys underachieving. I mean, Landon Roop has been so good for the Giants in pitching wise. I'm not saying that they have been the main culprits as far as underachieving. It's obviously been the offense for 90% of this season that has really sunk what the Giants have had gained momentum wise in the first half. But in these last couple games, the pitching, you see how good they have to be. They have to be absolutely dominant. And if they aren't, the Giants have absolutely no shot to make the postseason in the second half. I still think there's hope. Like I said, the Blue Jays are a very, very, very tough team. Obviously, you don't want to get swept by anybody, But if there's a team that if there's a series you're going to get swept in, this might be the one, because the Blue Jays, it's on the road completely across I would say across the country, but it's all the way up in Canada. Oh, Canada, shout out the North. And just all the way across the North American continent. Let's be a little more specific. And it's a tough environment to go play in. It was a sellout today. It was absolutely packed house all weekend long for the Blue Jays. And I mean, you can hear that those fans are believing that this team can do something. The Blue Jays look very, very good. Their offense is formidable. Their pitching looked pretty good at various points. Obviously today, the Giants were able to tag them for 12 hits and 6 runs, but ultimately this team is very good. They're first place in the American League East for a reason. Still, like I said, a sweep is inexcusable. If you're a playoff team, you should not be getting swept in a 3-game series by another playoff team. You should be able to play them pretty tight. The Giants did not really do that in this series. And really, even though they had points in today's game where I felt like they were coming back, they just never really were able to fully realize that momentum that they were starting to build. They would just give it right back to the Blue Jays. Whenever they got something going their way, it seemed like the pendulum swung back the other direction. Let's get into all that next on the other side of the Locked On Giants postcast. The big momentum swings in today's game. Plus, we'll get you a player of the game, and we'll get into what you'll be talking about after this one. All that and more coming up next on the Locked On Giants postcast. Today's show is sponsored by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades. Supply House, whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is jam-packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. No AI automated phone bots. I love being able to just pick up the phone and actually talk to someone who can listen to my problem and help me. And Supply House gives you that exact feature. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. Start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5, that's SH5, for 5% off your first order. Supplyhouse.com. And today's show is also sponsored by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. We know that the Giants offense has not made very many games exciting this year. I keep giving you guys the same bet over and over and over and over again, and I'm going to keep riding opposing starting pitchers over on their strikeouts against the Giants every time, especially if it's a lefty. I am hammering that over on the starting pitcher strikeouts. It has been very, very, very solid this season, and I'm going to keep rolling with that until the Giants prove to me that they're not going to strike out, 12 times per game. So I'm going to keep rolling with that bet. By the way, the Giants, I guess, only struck out 9 times today, but still, you get the point. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today the Giants can't get it done in Toronto, swept by the Blue Jays. We talked about how tough Robbie Ray's day was. I see Ken in the chat making a very good point. Ray didn't pitch hardly at all last year. He is probably tiring, and we have talked about this before. Robbie Ray has not shown that he can pitch this amount of innings since his Tommy John surgery. He has not had a full season where he has pitched the entirety of the year, first and second half, effectively since his Tommy John surgery. So yeah, Ken, that's a very good point. Robbie Ray is probably gassing out at some point, and that is something that concerns me. I don't know if Robbie Ray can maintain his first half dominance in the second half of the season. I think it'd be foolish to assume that he could go at the same level. It would be a disaster, though, if he falls apart and turns into the guy who leaves that fastball up in the zone with a little bit too much of the plate, doesn't get it quite high enough out of the strike zone, starts getting tagged for home runs all the time. We've talked about Robbie Ray's trend that he's been the concerning trend that he's been headed towards lately, where he's given up a ton of home runs. Remember, in the month of March, April, and May, I think he only gave up, 5 home runs in those months combined. 2 of them came in one game in March. So if you take out that one game in March that he started, he only gave up 3 home runs for the entire months of May and June. You get into July, he only had 1 start where he didn't give up a home run. And so Robbie Ray has been getting into some pretty bad situations. Or excuse me, June, he gave up a home run in every start except for 1. In July, he's also given up a bunch of home runs this month as well so far. So Robbie Ray, that's the concerning trend, right? Like that's where he gets hurt, especially when he starts walking guys more. And obviously he did that a lot today. Now, Robbie Ray did not give up, a ton of home runs today, but he did give up one to Vlad in that first inning. And eventually later on, or he also did give up one to Springer. I forgot that one that he gave up in the 5th was to Springer. He was still on the mound for that before Bivens came in and gave one up to Barger. So 3 home runs for the Blue Jays today, 2 of them coming off Robbie Ray. Home run trend continues, and that's concerning for me because he is a guy over his career who does give up a lot of home runs. He doesn't if he's not striking guys out, he's a fly ball strikeout kind of pitcher. And those fly balls, especially when you're throwing hard like Robbie Ray does, are going to sometimes turn into long bombs. And that's what happened today for the Toronto Blue Jays. Not very good for Robbie Ray and the Giants. And ultimately, that was really one of those home runs, in my opinion, was really the turning point in today's game. So let's get into it. Today's turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
And really, for me, I guess the turning point starts just before those 2 home runs in the bottom of the 5th. It was in the top of the 5th when Elliot Ramos was up with 2 outs and runners at the corners. And I know Elliot Ramos had a good game. He's been the most consistent hitter on this Giants lineup the entirety of the season. I'm not going to kill him too much for not delivering in this moment, but that was a big moment, man. Like you needed a hit there. You absolutely needed a hit in that situation. You needed to find a way to tie this game, take some momentum back from the Blue Jays. And Elliot Ramos instead strikes out. And that's what the Giants have been doing in these situations time and time and time again. Like, I need you to put the ball in play. I need you to put a good swing on the ball and put it in play and put the pressure on the defense to make a play. And you saw the Giants do that a lot in the beginning of the season, and other teams would choke it at times. I mean, shout out the Elliot Ramos Little League inside the park walk-off home run that he had earlier this year. It's you see what happens when you put the ball in play and make competitive swings. When you don't, and you just strike out and you go right back to the bench, when you got the tying run standing on third and you just, inning over, let's go back out and get into the field. You got to find a way to not let the other team continue to steal that momentum. And for the Giants, it's absolutely not what happened, because the first batter in the bottom of the 5th, George Springer, bombed 17th home run of the season to left field. He didn't really get all of that one. Exit velo was actually under 100 miles an hour. Only went 375, but hey, at Rogers Center, that counts as a home run. So Blue Jays start to pull away a little bit more. Then Alejandro Kirk, also later in the inning, delivers a single on a line drive to center field, and Bo Bichette scores on the play, makes the score 5-2. And then they're not done. Addison Barger smashes a home run, 2-run score, and it's now 7-2. So you had a chance to tie this game up in the top of the 5th inning and make it 3-3. Instead, by the end of that same 5th inning, you're down 7-2. And that was just an absolute gut punch for the Giants. I did not think that they were going to be able to change things up. But hey, Matt Chapman, he did his part. In the next inning, he launched a home run. He scored Rafi Devers on the play, made it 4-7. And for that one swing of the bat, not just that one swing of the bat, Chapman also had another hit today. We're going to give Chappie our player of the game for today's game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
And I really don't know who else to give it to other than Matt Chapman. I keep saying that in these bad Giants losses, it just seems like there's nobody that really is deserving of an honorable mention for their contributions. But today I felt like Matt Chapman did do enough to deserve at least a mention for today's player of the game. Chapman's home run was his 13th of the season. And he's got to get going, man. I mean, I know he had that long time on the injured list, but he was absolutely rolling before. And you saw what the Giants offense looked like when Matt Chapman was, he was hitting like 380 for damn near a month and was tearing the cover off the ball with all sorts of extra base hits. If he can get back to that, Willy Adames can start to find some of the momentum he had pre-All-Star break. I mean, he was the one guy who really didn't want to see the break on this team. 0 for 4 for Willy Adames today with 2 strikeouts, and some of those at-bats looked really bad. Watching strike 3 right down the middle in his, I believe it was his last at-bat, maybe second to last at-bat. Not very, inspiring stuff from Willy Adames out there today. But for Matt Chapman, he can get rolling. Hitting's contagious. Maybe it can get some of these other guys on this team rolling, and that would be very, very, very helpful. But again, to bring it back to what we talked about in the beginning of the show, this offense isn't going to outslug anybody. It's got to be the pitching that stays consistent, and that's what you're going to be talking about after this one.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And what you're going to be talking about is, again, what I brought up in the beginning of the show. If this pitching does not carry this team, like this offense is not built to carry this team through the dog days of summer, it's got to be the pitching. Maybe you start leaning on the bullpen a little bit more. Maybe some of these starters who are getting gassed out, you give them some breaks. Maybe you go to some bullpen games. Tristan Beck showed you something in this series. Maybe you let him get a spot start. Maybe see if he can go 4 or 5 innings and give everybody a little bit of a rest. Maybe you give Mason Black a spot start. Maybe you give Carson Wisenhunt a spot start. I mean, I know that I have been very anti Farhan mentality of like, let's bring up these prospects out of desperation and need as opposed to them being ready. But at a certain point, you're running out of levers to pull if you're the Giants. And if you're really trying to make the postseason this year, you got to pull all of them that are left. And there aren't too many left to pull. But that is the next step for this Giants pitching staff, is if it continues to look questionable, you got to find some ways to get these starters some rest, get other guys some work, and see if you can win some games via bullpen games, via Tristan Beck, via Mason Black, or Carson Wisenhunt. It's got to be someone has to step up, because you need some rest for these starting pitchers. You need some breaks for some of these guys. I don't think Verlander looks very good at this point. Don't think Hayden Birdsong looks very good at this point. Birdsong looks just very, very tired. Every time he's out there, it looks like his arm is just dead, and he's losing some of that velo. He's losing his location. He absolutely needs some rest, probably more so than Verlander does. I think both of those guys might benefit from like a 10-day IL stint for having like a tight back, if you know what I mean, or something like that, so that they can just reset, regroup, and maybe you go with a couple bullpen games. Maybe you go with some of these other spot starts, but you got to try something to keep this pitching staff operating at a high level and dominating the way that they were in the first half. They're not going to be able to just plow through all 162 games doing what they did in the first half. I think that's completely unrealistic to expect that. So the Giants, you got to pull a lever of some sort and figure out a way to keep this pitching engaged, keep this pitching staff being one of the best in baseball, because it's the only shot you got to get to the postseason. It's all the time that we got for you guys today here on the Locked On Giants postcast. Shout out to all of the everydayers in the channel. I see all of you guys. My guy, Big Dom Peralta, telling everyone smash that like button, y'all. Shout out Dom, always tuning in. Love that guy. And Roland, Roland Zamora, he's Roland. I need you to have a little bit more positivity, my guy. You always, I feel like no matter what the Giants are doing, I get today, he says this team is going nowhere. But Roland, my guy, every show, man, I need you to come with like one positive compliment on our next show, please. Just for me, man. So shout out all our everydayers. If you're tuning in on the podcast version, appreciate you too. However you're getting the show, we appreciate it. Make sure to check out the Locked On Giants daily show for more in-depth coverage. My guy, Ben Kaspick, always does a great job. It's all the time we got today. We'll see you next time on the Locked On Giants postcast. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.